Good morning. I'm Connie Carroll, and I'm sitting down with our department head report with Chuck Holland. Good morning, Chuck. Good to see you.
Good morning. It's good to be here.
It is good to have you here. And so you are going to tell us about your department and some new things that are happening.
Absolutely. You know, I'm on the show for a couple reasons today. One of them is to advertise for our town hall meeting, which is coming up on January 10th at 4:30 p.m.
Okay.
It's going to be here at the community center down in the boardroom. And the next thing I want to be able to do is give you an update on some of our broadband services. What we're going to be doing here in the early part of 2018 as far as converting over some of our older analog technology over to the digital technology, and give you a little bit of update about some of the new technology that we have coming down the pipe for everybody.
Sure.
Yeah.
So getting rid of old analog technology is actually not new news. That's actually old news.
Right. In 2008, the FCC no longer required for small independent operators to transmit in analog. So here it is in 2018, 10 years later, and out of the 295 channels that we have, about 55 of them are still being broadcast in analog. Right?
Oh.
Yeah, so quite a few. Now that 295 channels that we have, that includes music channels and HD as well as standard definition, as well as the analog channels. So we want to talk a little bit about that, how we're going to start converting those channels over to standard definition, and how it's going to impact our residents.
Well, maybe it would be a good time too to say what is analog and what is standard definition and what is high definition or digital television.
Great, thank you. For our analog televisions that are out there, these are the old tube-style TVs. You know, I always like to say, if the TV is thicker than 2 foot, it's probably an analog television.
True.
This is the type of television where if you don't have the appropriate signal, you get snow on it and static.
Yes.
The older, something that you probably see rabbit ears on. Well, we know nowadays with the digital TVs, they're flat, maybe 3 or 4 inches thick, and
Like this one right here.
Like right here. And they usually don't see rabbit ears on those. So the analog technology it's tried and true. It's one of the original signals that was broadcast for television over television antennas many years ago, and still to some degree today.
Yes, to some degree.
Yeah, to some degree. You know, here at Laguna Woods Village, we've had our own cable television operation here since the late 60s. And we had the original cable TV plant, which is behind Gate 14, which is, you know, 30, 40, almost 50 years old.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so that's how long analog television has been around, and we need to make some choices here to turn a corner to move to an all-digital solution.
But thankfully, because Laguna Woods Village also has its own private television network, these decisions could be carefully and thoughtfully made. Oh, and there we have some photos of the older technology that we still have in place.
Correct. This technology here that you're seeing, these satellite, this is behind Gate 14. This is on top of the hill. Overlooking El Toro Road.
But those satellites are not in use, are they?
Those satellites right there are 3 and 4 generations ago, and you can also see a tower up there, a radio tower that's been up there. I think we got a shot of that as well.
We do.
But really, that tower used to be able to pick up signals from Mount Wilson in Los Angeles to be able to provide television analog signal to our cable television network.
Kind of like the same way we understand radio signal.
Exactly.
So just analog worked the same way from this original tower.
Right, absolutely. Now, speaking of radio, the only thing that's being utilized on that network now is our ham radio operator club is now taking over that tower, and you can see some of the items that they've added for the ham radio.
All those antennas, they look to me like television antennas, but those are ham radio antennas, and all of their cabling that they've attached to the original tower. So that club is still able to use the tower, and it may be used in the future for some other kind of better technology, but not for analog television anymore.
No, absolutely not. So that old radio tower, it's been up there for quite some time. We have it serviced periodically. It's got a light at the top. There's an airport close by, so we have to make sure it's lighted, it's lit correctly. But there'll be no more technology going into that analog tower.
Not for television.
Not for television. Now, that's a great location to be able to talk with our local cell phone carriers like Verizon and AT&T for a potential site to put in a cell tower up there, because we know in this area, because of the topography and the elevation of the different parts of the community, that we do get a lot of residents who let us know that they have very poor cell phone services. So we're in negotiations with Verizon and in talks with AT&T about enhancing their services here in the area.
So it's good that the old tower can still be put to current and good use, but we can see behind us here, this is a satellite dish that's kind of not in use at all.
No,
so
it's
we've got some things and items around this, the area that serve their purpose, but they've been replaced by our newer technology that we saw the satellite dish being installed just recently over the summer.
Yeah, over the summer we had what we're calling our broadband improvement project, where we replaced the aging technology, the older satellites. I mentioned this is 3 or 4 generations ago technology.
Yes.
So the previous satellite that was in production this last summer was over at the Rossmore Electric Building. That device was used for about 20 years. Since we as part of our improvement project this summer, we replaced that satellite dish. It's actually, if you've seen it, if you've been over to the the RV lot. It's in the RV lot, and it's our latest and greatest technology that we've added to the community.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. So not only that, but as part of our bandwidth improvement project, don't forget we replaced many of our lasers and components out there in the field to be able to increase our level of internet capacity to all of our residents. One thing I wanted to mention to that, we know that we have about 10,000 homes that now have internet access. That is incredible. The system was originally designed to only have maybe a few thousand people on it, but here it is in 2018 where almost every single home has internet access. That's really interesting.
It is.
As part of that improvement project, we had there were about 4,000 modems that we needed to be replaced because they're older technology. I recently spoke with Paul Caranto from West Coast Internet, and he's let me know that out of those 4,000 modems, about 1,000 of them have been replaced, and we have about 3,000 more to go that should be replaced by the end of the year 2019.
That's
so
phenomenal.
they are making improvements and progress on that project as well.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like this newer technology, it's sleeker, it's faster, and the analog technology really kind of used up a lot of our available bandwidth.
Right, that's absolutely true. On our current network that we've had, it's been with the current cable infrastructure that it's in place right now, it's about 20 years old. In order for us to be able to free up any type of transmission capacity that we have, we've got to be able to start removing some of those older analog services. For instance, for every one analog television channel that we have online, I can put up 14 digital channels with using the same amount of bandwidth. So you can see those 55 analog channels that we have, they take up the same, or if not more, than the other 240 digital channels that we have. So it's something that's really limiting us. It's holding the rest of the community back by us being able to maintain this analog network. Now we have to be able to consolidate everything and get down to a digital network because it is more efficient, it is more cost effective, and ultimately it provides our residents a better quality of service.
And the great thing about Laguna Woods Village is that they've been able to take this step by step, very carefully and thoughtfully, when other communities outside our village have had to do this switch years ago.
Absolutely. Now this is something that's been in plan. We've in 2014-15 we did our first conversion from standard definition to high definition, because we have analog channels that we have out there now. We have standard definition, which is not high definition, but it's digital, and then we have a high definition. So that's absolutely for sure making some improvements on those types of services. One thing we want to make sure is on our cable services is we have taken our time. Right, we use all of that equipment out there to the very, very last. Right, we're not out there spending our residents' money unwisely. We want to make sure that when we're investing in technology, that's going to be something that's going to replace something that should have been replaced 10 years ago, and we're going to be able to utilize this technology, hopefully 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now. So it's
what's great about that is that the technology that we're investing in has already been tested. We didn't get the new ones that need to have the bugs worked out of it. We know it works because we've taken our time in implementing it.
Well, we let everybody else test it out. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
We have a couple, folks in the area, companies in the area that we keep a close eye on. We have Cox. Obviously Cox Cable TV, as well as Spectrum, which used to be the old Time Warner. So we're always paying attention to what kind of services are they offering, or what type of price point are they at. And so we're not a step ahead of them by any stretch of the means, but we're definitely keeping an eye on them because we want to offer those same type of services at a competitive price to our residents here in the community.
Mm-hmm. And so there's a town hall meeting coming up where you're going to explain all of this in depth.
Right. What we have as part of the town hall meeting, we want to talk about what does it really mean to improve our bandwidth. What do we need to do? What does it mean when we say we're removing our analog television stations? So we know, as we mentioned, we have about 55 analog television stations that we're not getting rid of those television stations. They're just going to be broadcast in standard definition. So if you have, for instance, if you are a current customer, premium customer of here at Laguna Woods Village, meaning that you rent a set-top box or a DVR or some type of device, there will be no impact to you. Your channel lineup will not change. There will be no impact. For those folks out there that have a digital TV that you're plugged directly into the wall, you will see some service interruptions, minor service interruptions, but those can easily be corrected by rescanning your television. Because right now, if your digital television is picking up an analog channel, they'll need to rescan it to pick up the digital signal. So that's what we got working on there. And then ultimately, if you have an analog television, you only really have two options. You can either rent a set-top box for $7.25 a month, or for $150 or so, you can go out and get like a 26 to 27 inch TV. Now my deal is the analog televisions are going to go away. Eventually, we're not even going to be able to get the equipment to service the analog channels. So it's really imperative that you go out there and invest in that new technology and get that digital television. I would rather see somebody, instead of somebody spending over a 2-year period, spending $725 per month over a 2-year period and spending almost $200, I'd rather see them go out there and spend $150 on a digital television and then be done with it. I think ultimately, with the way technology is and the quality of the new type of televisions, it's going to be a better quality of life for those people who really rely off television as one of their main communication tools with the outside world.
That's true, and other communities have really said goodbye to analog technology, analog signal. They did that about 10 years ago, so we've been able to hold on as long as we possibly can.
Absolutely true. We have some folks out there that are still turning the gear on the old analog television equipment. We're going to be phasing that stuff out. But the exciting part about it, let's not just think that the analog services going away is a bad thing. What we're looking at it is an improvement to our cable operation here to be able to allow some of our newer residents, people who are more interested in the new type of technology like a whole home DVR, over-the-top streaming, and these new type of emerging trends in technology and television guides and digital services. I don't think anybody, including myself, 10 years ago would have thought that companies like Netflix and YouTube and Hulu would have taken over the whole entire world. So I think the way that we're consuming television and the way that we're consuming our media services is completely changed, and it's going to be changing from here on out. So we're always keeping an eye on those emerging technology and where the world's taking us, and we're going to stay one step behind, right? right.
Carefully, thoughtfully, right behind them.
And cost effectively, most importantly. So along with that, talking about our analog removal schedule, we have throughout 2018. So this is not going to happen all at one time. So like I said, we had mentioned, we have 55 analog channels. Over a period of 12 months, we're going to be reducing those number of television channels about 7, 8, 10 at a time. And we have a schedule lineup. We're looking at removing our first 7 channels in around the February timeframe. We're also going to be relocating 3 channels as well.
Oh, so we did have a little slide up
there was
just
a slide
now.
Yeah, there was a slide.
And we'll get that back up, and it kind of shows us which channels are being relocated first. There it is, right there.
Okay, so right here, come February, these channels that you see right here, channels Discovery Live, Comedy Central, Freeform, et cetera, you can see the channel numbers right there. They're going to be converting from analog to digital, meaning that on your old analog television, you will not be able to see these channels unless you have a set-top box.
A set-top box,
right? And then also during that same weekend when we do the cutover here, there are 3 channels here, the TBS, 4 channels, excuse me, 4 channels. TBS Service Station, TNT, Oprah Winfrey, and Disney Channel. We're going to be shuffling them around to make room on our cable, on our channel lineup to offer some additional services.
So those changes are going to be happening in the earlier part of 2018.
Correct, in February. And then throughout the year, once again in April, July, October, then finally December, that will be the last of the analog channels that will be on our network. So if you have an analog TV and you want to be able to keep it, you have to get a set-top box. You can call resident service in order to get one. Or if you go out and buy a digital TV and you plug it in and you scan that thing, it will pick up all the digital channels for you.
So a great and easy way for residents to understand exactly what's happening is, of course, to attend the town hall meeting on January 10th, right here in the clubhouse.
No, right here at the community center.
Oh, I'm sorry.
At the boardroom.
The community center.
Yes.
I forgot where I was for one second.
No problem.
Thank you, Chuck.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so
I'm here at the community center. And it's at what time?
It's January 10th. It's at 10:30. I'll be doing some presentation. I'm sorry. It's at 4:30.
Yes.
I'll be doing a presentation. I imagine I'll probably find a partner or two to help me out, give me some presentation.
Oh,
Maybe
good.
Brad might say a few words, and we might get our village television manager to say a few words as well. But I think what's really exciting is we'll be able to also demonstrate some of our new technology with our new TiVo product. It's really our whole home DVR services.
Yes.
We're going to start offering, once we get a chance to remove these first 7 analog channels to give us the transmission capacity required to be able to run the new TiVo system.
Sure.
We're going to start offering that services around the end of February, beginning of March.
Terrific.
We have about 10 or so what we call test residents that we're going to be going to be testing the new TiVo units over the next 60 days. We'll be working on all the kinks and all the bugs. And then shortly thereafter, maybe first quarter of 2018, we'll start offering these services to our clients out there in the village.
And we get to find out about it so early in January at the town hall meeting.
Yep.
And then, of course, all other questions, if you go to Resident Services, they'll tell you about a set-top box that you can use with your analog tube television.
That's correct. We also, as far as our update as well, we also have a few contract negotiations that we've been working on over this last 3 months. We recently renegotiated contract with CBS. We know that CBS is one of the big 3. CBS, sure. NBC, Fox,
ABC,
and ABC, the big 4, right? ABC,
right.
And we know it's really expensive to negotiate with those big companies, right? We know that CBS and Dish Network has had a large public fight in the media out there about their contract renewal, and eventually Dish Network did re-sign their agreement with CBS. We're not unlike that. We're in the same type of situation. Where Dish Network has multi-millions of subscribers, we only have about 12,736. So our bargaining power with CBS is not that great. So unfortunately, fortunately we're going to be continuing the CBS lineup. That's good to know, right? But it comes at a price.
Yes.
And so we've been working with our Media Communications Committee, with our GRF board, and letting them know every step of the way. The original negotiation percentages, we're about able to shave 10% off what their original fee structure was going to be. So we saved the company some money, but it wasn't as favorable as we'd like. The biggest challenge, though, is right now with KTLA, which is Channel 5.
Yes.
That's the Tribune Media Network. They're looking to raise our rates here at the village 170%. So we have not been able to come to a successful negotiation with Tribune Media, which is KTLA.
Yes.
And on December 31st, January 1st, that channel, if we don't find a way to come to a better negotiating rate, that channel is going to go dark. Now, I don't think it's KTLA, which is the CW.
Yes.
It's in a different demographics, we believe. They have shows like Arrow and Flash and Valor that's really tuned in for the young adult and teen network. So we figured, wow, 170%, we're not really comfortable with negotiating that type of rate.
That's true.
So December 31st, that channel is going to be going dark until or if we negotiate better terms for our community.
And of course, all of the CWO programming is available on their website as well. It can be streamed directly from their website.
Correct, and you can also, for sure, if you get a digital antenna for your TV, you can pick up the CW there as well, and then of course you can go to their website and pick up that content there as well. But for 170% increase, we're going to negotiate a little bit further before we sign any contracts.
Well, it's true. Everybody does know that negotiations can be pretty tough when you're dealing with Hollywood entities and networks, and we are a network ourselves.
Absolutely.
And so, but we're a network that really takes care of its residents.
Right.
And everyone can be at the town hall meeting on January 10th at 4:30 here in the clubhouse to learn everything they need to know about this.
Yep, we certainly can. Make sure you come there early because seats do run out. We do have the overflow room, but we're looking forward to seeing you on January 10th at 4:30 p.m.
Thank you, Chuck. Thanks for being here with us.
You're welcome.
And thank you for joining us as well. We'll be right back after this.